Hello and welcome back to another video. This is part number 2 of the Transport of the Rescue restoration series. It's been a couple of weeks since I last posted up a video, and to be fair, there's not been a huge amount of progress on the game. Last weekend I was at the Play Expo show in Manchester in the UK. It's a great, really big sort of retro gaming show. And I took a couple of pinball machines. We had about just over 120 pinball machines, I think, set up on free play for the public to play, plus a load of arcades, old consoles, computers, stalls, all sorts of stuff. There was some PlayStation VR demos there. I got to play a bit of Battlezone, which was really cool. But the sort of main thing for me was, like I say, 120 pinball machines. I took along my Fireball EM and my Zack Robot, which seemed to get well played over the course of the weekend. So there's not been a huge amount of progress so far on Transport since I shot the last video. What you can see is I've taken the playfield out of the game, so that's now sort of on the floor getting taken to pieces. I was also messing around in the back box the other day, so the translight's out at the moment as well. I think the cabinet is okay inside. It's filthy. It's going to need a really good, you can see it's really mucky in there, going to need a bit of a clean. I'm not going to do too much to the interior of the cabinet. I'm going to sort out the lockdown bar receiver, because that is a bit manky as well. And like I said, just give it a hoover out and a bit of a wipe down, but I'm not going to go too crazy in there. And the back box is fine. You can see, I'm not sure if I showed these before, I mentioned them, the new X-Pin displays that I bought for this game when I first got it. That was because this display here was not working, or the original display. So I treated it to a set of X-Pin displays, and they are awesome. Really, really, really good. Highly recommended. So I think, and under the game, you can see a couple of crates of abandoned it. So in those two boxes are all the parts that have been cleaned up from the top side of the playfield. So I won't drag them out at this stage, but that top box has got ramps in it. In fact, no, I will do. I'll show them later in the video. I'll show you what's in the boxes. So I think next, let's have a look at the playfield as it is out of the game. So back to the familiar sight of another pinball playfield sitting on the floor of my lounge. So I've already started stripping bits off the back side of this playfield. You can see that I've started at I work from one end to the other, so I've started at this back end, and I'll work my way down the playfield, stripping off the mechs and all the other bits and pieces so they can be cleaned up. So you'll already see like the pop bumpers are off, some of the other mechs are off, switches. I'm basically got as far as this section just here, so I've got to take, let me get my hand out of the way, that's coming off next, and then we'll kind of work our way down to the rest of it. I think I mentioned this before, but there's not a huge amount of stuff on the bottom of a Transporter playfield. It's quite nice actually. I've already took the lamp, there's a few lamp boards obviously, but in terms of like mechanisms and just general stuff, it's reasonably clear and easy to work on. What you can see down here are the pop bumper mechanisms. So they're the older Bally style in the sort of plastic bracket, and that just comes out as a unit. I've still got to strip these down completely and get all the bits cleaned up, but there's 3 of those that came out. And then you can see, as I explained in the last video, I've got my usual different tubs going on of sort of plastic parts, big metal pieces, and all the little screws and stuff as well. So, but we're not finished yet. So still more work to do. You can see not much on the backboard of this game either, just a couple of flash lamps. So that wasn't too bad. I've got a, I don't know if it'll show up on the video, but these angle brackets here are pretty rusty. So they're going to get taken off and re-spray painted. And then it's just a case of working through and stripping everything down. Like I said on the last video as well, I've kind of done it in sort of 2 halves. I stripped the top side down, did all the cleaning on that before I started stripping the bottom side down to save myself just a massive load of cleaning. Quite pleased I've done that again, because the cleaning of the top side was dull. It is the worst part of the process. So I'm going to have to do it all again with the bottom side of the playfield, but thankfully, as I mentioned, not too much stuff on this game, so hopefully it won't take too long. Right, let's have a quick look in the crates. You can see the state of some of the stuff I took off the top side of the playfield. So this is the first crate of stuff from the top of the playfield. Most of it's bagged up, so let's see. So you can see big bits of plastic. There's all the plastics all cleaned up and polished. What else have we got? Flipper bats cleaned up, including a new old stock one I managed to get hold of from someone off the forum. bits of wiring loom, some of the smaller bits and pieces and coils, just all cleaned up. I use baby wipes to clean the wiring looms and stuff. I know you can, if you strip the entire thing off, sort of wash it down, soak it in the bath. I know some people do that, but for games like this, I don't. It's just easier for me to clean it sort of in situ. I'll show that a bit later when I've actually got the main wiring harnesses off the playfield. But yeah, just sitting down, wiping it down with baby wipes is actually a really good way to clean these. You can see underneath there's a bag, if I lift that out, of polished up metal. So that's all the screws, all the little metal parts, everything that's been through the tumbler. What else we've got? Again, I won't take these all out of the bags, but this bag here is all the ball guides, the metal ball guides. Can't really see them that easy, that's the part of the trough. And then in this bag at the bottom here, again, I won't dig it out, is the part of the playfield and some of the other plastics you can see there. Some more of the metal ball guides. So that's kind of all the smaller stuff in this tub. And then if we pan over, this one's got all of the bigger bits in it. So mainly at this stage, in the bag here is the UN Orion sort of mini playfield that I cleaned up and then clear coated with a rattle can just to give it a bit of extra protection. So that's come up right. And again, in this one is the other mini playfield. I'll show these properly when I'm actually putting the game back together with all the parts on and stuff, so you can sort of see them then. And then it's all the plastic ramps. So the clear plastic ramps. So there's the one here, the main one here, and the top of the transporter. I'm still working on the crossover ramp. Just needs a bit more cleaning up. But these plastic ramps have come up really nicely actually. So what I've done with those, give them a clean, get all the muck off them, then flame polish them with a sort of small blowtorch, and then polish them up with some Novus 2. And they've come up really, really well. You can see I mean, these were quite hard to see through before. If I put my fingers behind the plastic there, to say how old this game is, they've actually come up really, really nice and clear. One thing I have decided I'm going to do, I think I mentioned it before, there's a crack at the, there you go, you can see it with my finger, a crack at the entrance to this ramp. So I'm going to get hold of some sheet steel and have a go at making my own ramp protectors for this ramp in particular, because that's the one that gets the hammer at that ramp entrance. So that'll be an interesting challenge. I've not done that before. And that's about it at the moment. So I'm going to carry on taking more parts off the back of the playfield, and we'll come back when there's something else to look at. Just wanted to quickly show the lamp boards and basically the boards I've taken off the bottom of the playfield, mainly for one reason. But so these are all of the lamp boards. They just need cleaning mainly. But this is the reason I wanted to show it. So this is one of the only relay board on the bottom of the game, and this is going to need a little bit of work because, as you can see, it's had a bit of some hack job in the past. So when I tried to remove this from the game, when it was still on the playfield and the playfield still in the game, I was pulling on this connector to try and get it out because I couldn't actually see this part of it. It was right at the bottom of the game, and it wasn't coming off. So I left it until I took the playfield out of the game, and then I could obviously see the problem. You can see here that someone's actually soldered the wires directly to the header pins. I'm guessing because at some point in its life these header pins, you can see, are burnt up. So rather than replace the header pins and put a new connector on, which is not exactly difficult and it's a reasonably quick job, they, as in with most sort of operator style hacks, are wired directly to the pins. So what I'll need to do is remove this set of header pins and then put a new connector on, and that should be fixed. It works, the board works, it's absolutely fine, but it's just a bit of a manky hack. And I mentioned earlier, here you can see these are the last two bits of topside plastic I'm working on cleaning. This has been cleaned, just needs a bit of work on the if it will show up on the front here. There's that's a bit rough on the front there, so I'm going to get the various polishes out, got them all out here, and have a go at trying to clean that up a bit better. And then this ramp, I've been cleaning and polishing and cleaning and polishing quite a lot over and over and over again to try and get it as good as it's going to be. I think it's about there. I've also done some flame polishing on this as well. This ramp, I mean, obviously I'm not going to be able to change the fact that it's turned to the sort of yellow colour, but I just wanted to get it a bit clearer, and it's not looking too bad at the moment. I might have one last go because it was pretty sort of scratched and beat up. So one last go just to clean it up, but I think then that'll be done and it'll go in the tub with all the other cleaned up ramps. So good progress made on the bottom side of the playfield. Pretty much everything has been removed, so obviously the wiring looms are still on there, but all of the metal bits, mechs, brackets, screws, everything is pretty much off now. So the next step is to take the actual wiring looms off, and obviously they are P-clipped in everywhere, so like this, but all over the place. So I'll do what I did to Space Station, where we'll unclip all the harnesses, then I'll get the board that I've got and transfer them one by one over onto the board, so I kind of keep them in roughly the same shape as they are when they're on the game, then I can clean them up on the board and then transfer them back. So that is the next step for this playfield. You can see, if I pan over here, the box is looking a bit fuller now, so that is all the big metal parts off the bottom of the playfield, all of the sort of plastic bits and other stuff that needs cleaning, and then a nice tub of screws and nuts and bolts and springs and everything that's going to go in the tumbler. So pretty much there and ready. Oh, and there's still the tub of stuff that needs to be bought from new. Not much extra in there apart from some coil sleeves and other bits and pieces, pop bump wafers and things like that. So I'm going to unclip everything from the P-clips and then start transferring the wiring looms over. I'll split them up into well, I'm hoping I'll be able to split them up into the 3 different looms. So there's switch loom, there's coil and flasher loom, and then there's the GI, the lamp loom. So I think, again, as similar to what we did with Space Station, GI is stapled in with ground braid. I want to be leaving this alone as much as possible. I really don't want to be unpicking loads of staples, because it's just not worth the effort, to be fair. But we'll see. Once I get the other 2 off, hopefully it won't be too bad and will allow me to work on just cleaning up the bottom of the playfield. So we'll do that next, and then we'll come back and see what it looks like. So I've come across something a bit different on this game as opposed to Space Station, which is the last one I did. I'm just removing the various wiring harnesses, so you can see I've got the board out. The solenoid and flasher harness is already off and is over there. And I was just looking at taking the switch harness off. And on this game, the switches for the pop bumpers, you see the green and the white wires are part of the switch harness for the actual switches, but then the lights for the pop bumpers are tagged into the GI and are actually soldered onto these bottom lugs of the switches as well. So it means that the switch harness and the lamp harness are attached to each other, which makes it a bit of a problem for taking it off the game. So I think what I'm going to do, and this is the same, I should say, that on each of the 3 switches. Where's the 3rd one? I've lost it all. Yeah, there it is. Lost it all in the wiring. So on each one, these bottom tabs, if I can zoom in, are soldered into the lamp harness. So I think the best idea will be to cut the wires, cut the lamp harness away from it, leave it attached to the switch harness, and then remove it that way, and then I can just solder them back on when I put the game back together. So a little bit different to Space Station, because that just came off nice and easy in 3 separate harnesses. This one, not quite so simple. So the switch harness is now removed from the playfield. You can see it laying next to the solenoid harness down there. The lamp harness is still attached at the moment. I've probably got a decision now whether I want to cut this off and then resolder it later. It's only like all of this bottom half is loose already, so it's only in a few places like here where the wiring's actually attached to the braid. I'm definitely not removing any of this stuff. I think I'm going to leave that well alone. It's just whether to make life a bit easier with working on the game, I cut here and here. So I want one socket here, cut there, and over here, and I think that's about it. Oh no, there's a couple more at the top here. So maybe I cut cut it in a few places and actually remove it. It will make my life a bit easier, but I'll have a think about that and decide what I'm going to do. I think that's probably it for this video. The bottom side of the playfield is pretty much stripped, other than that last wiring harness. So in the next video I'll start actually working on the playfield, cleaning it up to start with, looking at the bottom, maybe a bit of sanding on the bottom as well where it's really dirty, get all the P-clips off as well, and then sort of take an assessment and see where we are, what I need to do on the top side, what I need to do on the underside, and then we're back to more cleaning. So hopefully you've enjoyed watching this video, and I'll be putting up another one quite soon with the next steps, the next step in progress of restoring this game. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers.